Big Time Tennis is back. Guys, I'm so excited. The Australian Open draw is out, and we're going to be covering the WTA draw in this video. I've had a very, very quick, brief scan over, and this is a ridiculously strong draw. There are some unbelievable first round matches, and I think the WTA tournament for the Australian Open is going to be absolutely insane. I cannot stress it enough. I'm so excited to get into this. Before we do get into the draw, before I pick each and every single match and predict my winner ultimately, please remember to hit that like button. Do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. We're also going to be doing a live preview with Cam Williams from Tennis Talk with Cam Williams later today. So do check that out. And we'll be having so much content on the Australian Open throughout the whole this week, next week, the week after. It's going to be great. Honestly, I'm extremely excited. Okay, let's get into it. I'm just laughing because when we go through some of these matchups, you guys, if you haven't seen the draw, are going to be absolutely gobsmacked. But let's start off. So, Iga Swiatek plays Sofia Kenin, who's, of course, a former Grand Slam champion, in the first round. This is a really, really, really tough draw. I'm not joking for Swiatek. Her general draw is pretty tough anyway. But to face a Grand Slam champion. I know she's unseeded. I know she hasn't been the best of form in the last few years, but she won the Australian Open 4 years ago. So, look, it's a tough one. And Swiatek isn't the most comfortable at the Australian Open in comparison to, say, Roland Garros or the US Open, in my opinion. So, it could be tough. I'm going to go for her to come through it, but it could be difficult. This is a cracking one as well. Danielle Collins versus Angelique Kerber. I mean, Kerber making her comeback. She played the United Cup. She looked pretty good in some of her matches, in all honesty. No, do I think she can beat Danielle Collins, who made the final of the Australian Open a couple of years ago? Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. But Danielle Collins is tough. She's a tough cookie. She's powerful. She likes his courts. But I'm going to go for Kerber. McCartney Kelso will have a qualifier, so we'll go for her. Noskova versus Buzkova, two really talented Czech players. I'm really high on Noskova. She's such an incredibly talented youngster. Buzkova is extremely solid, though, so that could be a tough one to call. I'm going to go for Noskova. Then Svitolina's got a wild card, so go for Svitolina. She was one of my dark horses. I don't think for the actually, she might have been for the Australian Open when I did my picks. Kayla Day plays Tomova. We'll go for Tomova there. And I'll go for Siniakova over Christian. I'm going to go for Kudermetova over Golubic. And Ostapenko over Burrell. Tomjanovic, Martic. I'll go for Tomjanovic. She's at home. And she will be looking to really make some sort of mark and get the crowd behind her and start off the season well, especially after a pretty disappointing 2023 due to some injury, but also form as well. Then we've got Clara Towson versus Minen. I'll go for Towson. Georgie Azarenka. I mean, that's a ridiculously good matchup. Two very exciting players to watch, in my opinion. Shot makers. Georgie, though, is a little bit too sporadic for me. Azarenka, I always say this, when it's hard court swing time, she does come to the party, so I'm going to go for Azarenka. Navarro and Wang will go for Navarro. Cocciaretto to beat whichever qualifier comes through there. And then we've got Wickmeyer and Gracheva. Gracheva, Vondrusova's got a qualifier as well. Rybakina, Pliskova. Okay, so there are two matches, and we haven't even got to them yet. I mean, Swiatek Kenin is up there, but I would say these two matches are so tough to call. And Rybakina will be the favorite against Pliskova, but if you watched Pliskova against Osaka recently, you would have seen how well she was playing Pliskova is extremely dangerous, very attacking as well. Rybakina could have her work cut out for her, and she tends to get horrible draws at slams. I don't remember I don't remember a single Grand Slam draw she's gotten. And I thought, oh, actually, that's a pretty easy one. Her draws tend to be horrific. Now I'm going to go for Rybakina to come through it, but it could easily be an upset. I'm going to go for Blinkova to beat Buxa and Osorio to beat Maria. Paulini and Schneider. I'm going to go for Paulini. Kalinina and Rus will go for Kalinina. And Kalinskaya's got a qualifier. Sloane Stevens to come through the wild card with Gadecki. And Katakina should beat Stearns. Zheng Wen to beat Kruger. And Bolter to beat Juan, although we'll see. And then Raducanu's got a tough first round. Very tough. She's got Shelby Rogers at the Australian Open. Shelby Rogers on a hard court is a tough proposition. It really depends how fit she is. She pulled out of a charity match versus Osaka. I hope it's just a precaution. And if it's just a precaution, then she should be fine. And she should beat Rogers, given the form that I saw against Svitolina, especially for the first two sets. She looked very good. Third set, not so much, but we'll have to wait and see how she gets on. I'm going to go with Raducanu. Castella to beat Wang and Zhu to beat Dodin. Trevor Sands to get through her qualifier and Burrell to beat Krunic. Pagula to get through her qualifier as well. Sakari to beat Hibino. Venetian to beat Bay. And I've got Kostyuk beating Claire Liu. Mertens to beat Sharif. Wozniacki should beat Lynette. Really? Former Australian Open champion Lynette is solid. She's very solid. I'm going to go for Wozniacki. Calls quote unquote upset. Cornet to get through a qualifier. Sriba Stormer could easily lose in her qualifier. Against her qualifier. She's not the most comfortable at the Australian Open courts. We'll go for her. Haladmeya Pravitsova. And this is Linda Pravitsova, so the younger sister, if I'm not mistaken. Haladmeya should get through, although she hasn't started off the year particularly well in the few matches she's played. Caroline Garcia, Osaka. Now, this is the other one. What a ridiculous matchup. Osaka drawn against a seed in the first round. Garcia will be looking at this thinking, what in the world? Because she's looked pretty good at the United Cup. Osaka's looked pretty good as well in her comeback matches. Do I see Osaka causing the upset? That's really the question, right? Do I see Osaka beating Caroline Garcia in the first round of the Australian Open? Now, I think if this was a matchup later on in the tournament potentially, and Osaka had some easier matches under her belt, then I could see her potentially winning it. She still has the ability to win it, and it'd be really exciting if she does. But I also kind of want Caroline Garcia to win because she's had a horrific 2023, or had a horrific 2023 in comparison to prior year. These courts are really suited to her game. Also suited to Osaka, of course. She's won slams here at the Australian Open. So it's a tough one. It's really tough. I'm going to Caroline Garcia, but not with a lot of confidence, in honesty. Freck to beat Seville. Potenseva's got a qualifier. Potapova to beat Yuvan and Fernandez to win against qualifier. Same with Parks and Dollarhide. Got to beat Schmidlova. Jabeur to beat a qualifier. Andreeva to beat Pera. The Bernarda Pera has been playing some decent tennis, so Andreeva could potentially lose that. Rakhimova to beat Bektas. Wang to beat Parry, even. Alexandrova to beat Sigmund. Irani to be a qualifier. Korpach Burridge. I'm going to go for Burridge. I'm going for Burridge. Maybe because I'm a Brit, but I'm going to go for Burridge. Kochikova to beat Hontama. Anisimova to beat Samsonova. I'm going big. No, actually, not in the first round. Surely not. Samsonova is a really good player as well. She could easily be top 10 this year. And Anisimova is coming off a long layoff. I would find it very difficult to go against Samsonova. Zidansek to beat Podoroska. Badosa Townsend. This is a really tough first round for Badosa. And Townsend is a difficult player to come up against, especially if you haven't played a lot of matches. I'm going to go for Badosa to get through it. Then I'm going to go for Pavlyuchenkova to beat Vekic. She's kind of found some really interesting form. Really strong forms. I'm going to go for the upset there. I'm going to go for Serenko to beat Pronzetti and Massaro to beat Sasnovich, Bogdan to beat a qualifier. Same with Sabalenka. Sabalenka's got a pretty, very, I would say, sweet route to the final. Her projected path is pretty good. If you're a Sabalenka fan, you'll be happy. If you're a Swiatek or Rybakina fan, you probably won't be. So Swiatek Kerber, now Swiatek beat Kerber in the United Cup. Look, Kerber could definitely cause some issues for Swiatek, but I don't think she beat her. Noskova to beat Kessa. This is second round now. Svitolina to beat Tomova. Kudermetova to beat Shiniakova. Look, Tomjanovic could frustrate Ostapenko and get the win, but I think Ostapenko should come through that. Azarenka beat Towson, in my opinion. She has the experience, so I think she'll know how to navigate the young Danes game. Navarro to beat Cocciaretto. Vondrousova should get through Kacheva, and Rybakina has Blinker, which would be a much easier second round matchup in comparison to a first round. Paolini to beat Osorio. Kalinina to beat Kalinskaya. Then I'm actually going to go for a bit of an upset and go for Stevens to beat Kasakina. I don't see Zheng Jinwen getting upset by Katie Bolter, despite Katie Bolter beating Jessica Pegula in the United Cup. I know Bolter has pretty good ability and some decent firepower on serve and ground strokes, and likes to come forward nicely. She can cause problems, but I just don't see her beating the young Chinese superstar. Raducanu Castells is a tough match for Raducanu. I'm going to go for Raducanu, but she may not even get through the first round with Rogers, in honesty. Zhu to beat Trevisan and Pegula to beat Burrell. Sakari to beat Avanesian. And I'm going to go for Kostyuk to beat the seeded Mertens. I'm going to go for Wozniacki to beat Cornet. And Hanan Mir to beat Cerebus Tormo. That would be a replay, right, of that 4-hour Roland Garros match they had. So they could potentially play each other again. Garcia to beat Freck and Potapova to beat Potentseva. I'm going to go for Fernandez and Parks is a tough one, Really, really tough. You've got the more defensive-minded, counter-punching Fernandez versus the more powerful, slightly more erratic Alicia Parks. If Alicia Parks is firing on all cylinders, it'll be really tough for Fernandez. I'm going to go for Fernandez. I think the Beijing Cup win should have given her some sort of pick-me-up. Gauff to beat Dollarhide. I'm going to go for Jabeur to beat the young prodigy Mira Andreeva. Wang to beat Rakimova and Alexandro to beat Irani. Kuchikova should beat Burridge and Samsonova should beat Zidansek. Badosa could easily lose to Pavlyuchenkova in honesty, but I'll go for Badosa. Serenko to beat Masarova. Sabalenka to beat Bogdan. Right, let's see what we've got. Swiatek should beat Noskova and Svitolina Kudermetova. Svitolina Kudermetova. Svitolina. Ostapenko Azarenka. Ooh. Ostapenko. Vondrousova to beat Navarro. Rybakina to beat Paolini. Stevens to beat Kalinina. Zhang Shinwen to beat Raducanu. Pegula to beat Zhu. Kostyuk could easily beat Sakari, but Sakari recently, at the start of the year, on the back end of last year, has looked pretty good. And even though I didn't pick her in my top 10 for 2024, at the end of the year, I think she's looking pretty good at the start so far. Wozniacki had a May. I'd be surprised if Wozniacki goes super deep. I'm going to go for Haddad Mayer. Garcia to Potapova. Gauff Fernandez. This is a tough match for Coco Gauff if she ends up getting this far. And the same with Fernandez. We'll go for Coco Gauff. Jabeur to beat Wang. And Krejcikova should beat Alexandrova. Samsonova should beat Badosa. Sabalenka should beat Sorenko. I mean, Svitolina is a tough proposition for Swiatek, in honesty. In a round of 16 match. Can she beat Swiatek on an Australian Open hard court? Is the question, right? She beat her at Wimbledon in the quarterfinals. I'm just trying to think, can she beat her in the Australian Open on a hard court, though? She's got a chance, but I'm going to go for Swiatek. Ostapenko Vondrousova is a really... I'm going to have to come back to that one. That's a tough one. This is round of 16. Rybakina should beat Stevens. I'm going to go for an upset. I'm going to go for Zheng Xinwen to Pagula. Sakari to beat Haddad Mayer. Caroline Garcia Gauff. Oh, man. I mean, Garcia might not even make it this far if she loses to Osaka, of course. If we got Osaka Gauff, that'd be great, wouldn't it? I'm just trying to think. On these faster courts, Caroline Garcia, her style might be a nightmare for Gauff on these hard courts. Just how quick the Australian Open hard courts are. What's the head-to-head between the two? What is the head-to-head? 2-all. Okay, last time they played was in 2022, though. Garcia won. Then she also won the US Open quarterfinal between the two. But Gauff won the first two matches: Indian Wells, Doha, so all on hard court. It's difficult. I mean, Coco Gauff is a changed player since 2022. She's won a slam as well. She'll be looking to go back to back, which would be incredible. Caroline Garcia, how well is she playing? How much faith do I put in a game? And also up here as well, mentality-wise. I'm going to go big here. I'm going to go Garcia. I just think Coco Gauff has just won the US Open. Normally, it's very rare. On the ATP or WTA side, if your name's not Serena Williams or one of the big three, that you would win a slam and then go super deep at the next slam, let alone win it. Jabeur Krejcikova. I mean, Jabeur could easily lose it. Krejcikova should do well on these types of hard courts. But Jabeur's very tricky, in honesty. We'll go Jabeur. I'm going to go Sabalenka to beat Samsonova. So my quarterfinals. Oh, I missed someone, didn't I? Yeah, Ostapenko Vondrousova for round of 16 last match. Who do I pick for that? Who do I pick? I'm going to go with Ostapenko. Now, this leaves a very interesting quarterfinal lineup, and I'll tell you why. Because Swiatek Ostapenko is a really bad matchup for Swiatek. And that's why her route is very difficult. And I could see it having a lot of trouble. In fact, she's never won against Ostapenko. She lost Ostapenko at the US Open 2023 tournament. 3-6, 6-3, 6-1. Lost in Dubai in 2022 in 3 sets. That was a close one. That was a final set tiebreaker. 2021 lost to Indian Wells. 2019 lost to Birmingham. So she's never beaten Ostapenko. Rybakina Zheng, I'm not sure if they've ever played before. Let's have a look. Do they have a head-to-head? I think they've never played. Well, they have. Rybakina's beaten her both times. In China in 2023, not too long ago, and also Wimbledon in 2022 was a tough one though, 7-6, 7-5, very close. That's the year that she won Wimbledon, of course, Rybakina. So I think Rybakina will win that one. Sakkari Garcia, they played each other a bunch of times. So what's the head-to-head there? Head-to-head is 3-all. Oh my gosh. These matchups are crazy that I picked. 3-all, right. So Sakkari has won the last 3, all in 2023. 6-2, 6-2, 6-3, 6 love, 6-2, 6-7, 7-6, all on hard court. And the previous 3 were on hard court, and Garcia won 2 of them in 2022, 1 in 2017. Oh man. Sakkari is looking quite good, you know. I'm kind of feeling how she's been playing in the United Cup and stuff. I'm gonna go Sakkari. Jabeur Sabalenka is another great matchup. I mean, we saw a fantastic match between the two in Wimbledon, or at Wimbledon. It's 4-2 in favor of Sabalenka. Sabalenka won Cincinnati as well. After that Wimbledon loss, then also won the WTA Finals in 2022. So it's one apiece in 2023. Before that, Sabalenka had won all the matches apart from a Roland Garros match between the two, where Jabeur won in 2020. I think Sabalenka will win it. I'd be surprised if she doesn't. And I haven't even picked Swiatek. You know what? I find it so difficult to go against Swiatek because she's just such a good player. But if she comes up against Yelena Ostapenko, I just think there's a little bit of a mental block there as well. And the problem is, in her half, she's got Ostapenko and Rybakina, like, and Vondrousa. I mean, this is tough, man. I'm gonna go for Ostapenko to cause the upset. Then we've got Ostapenko, Rybakina, quarterfinals, and Sakkari Sabalenka. What's wrong with me in my picks? I'm going to go for a repeat of the Australian Open final. Rybakina and Sabalenka. Rybakina to beat Ostapenko, Sabalenka to beat Sakkari. And I'm pretty sure that this isn't even in line with my predictions for Grand Slams because I'm pretty sure I picked Sabalenka to win the Australian Open to defend her title. The question is, after a complete beatdown by Rybakina in Adelaide or Brisbane, I think it was. It's Adelaide or Brisbane? I think it was Brisbane. I mean, it was just carnage. She bageled her. So she bageled Sabalenka in the first set. Do I think that Rybakina can do the same, or will Sabalenka make adjustments and do something different if they play in the Australian Open? She should do, right? But will it be enough? Because Rybakina is looking very good. The biggest question mark around Rybakina will be, can her body hold up for the whole tournament? I'm going to stick to my pick, my original pick, and I'm going to go for Sabalenka. But in all honesty, I think the biggest favourite at the moment, and the problem is there is recency bias, but there's a reason that there's recency bias in the case of Rybakina because she has actually played Sabalenka recently and beat her. She's also got a ridiculously good record in Swiatek as well. I'm going to go for Sabalenka to Rybakina, and what I would expect to be a 3-set final. But Rybakina, in all honesty, is the safer pick at the moment, and I think I I wouldn't be surprised if she wins it. I think it will be between these two. In all honesty, if there's a surprise, player in the final who isn't in the top 10, for example, I would be extremely surprised by that. But we'll see. Right, okay, so that's my pick in terms of winner. In terms of the route there, I mean, let me just tell you about, because Rybakina's is pretty difficult, right? But the worst one is potentially Swiatek's, and we've gone through that. But I have a feeling, that I have a feeling that there's going to be some big upsets because of the matchups at the Australian Open, because of who's just available to play. There aren't many omissions, in honesty. If you think about the players that aren't able to play at the Australian Open, it's not a huge amount. Of course, there's Mukova. I think Andreescu's not playing as well. I'm not entirely sure why she's not playing. So those are a couple off the top of my head, but there's not many real notable omissions. So it's a really strong field. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the draw. Also, who's your predicted winner after looking at the draw as well. And what first round matchups are you most looking forward to? Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well. Remember to hit the like button, share the video if you haven't done so already, and also subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you on the next video.